Uh, Good evening. Today's class is about the continuation of the theory of consumer behavior, and we will start it right now. These are the contents of today's classes. That and let me assure you that this class is a very short class. I have kept it intentionally short so that we can understand it better, unlike the previous classes. These are the contents that we are going to study today. Monotonic preference. Why are the indifference curve downward sloping? It's a very important question that may be asked to you in the exam. The concept of functions, the concept of demand, then demand function, and we will just have an introduction to the demand curve. After that, as usual, we will have our quizzical review. Okay, so let's start. As you can see, that monotonic preference refers to a situation in which a consumer chooses that bundle of commodity where there is at least one more commodity. Let us suppose that there are two bundles of commodity, bundle A and bundle B. So bundle A has got two items, two commodities to be specific, commodity X and commodity Y. Similarly, bundle B has got two items, commodity X and commodity Y. But bundle this A here, can you see the mouse cursor here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this one actually is representing the quantity of commodity 1. Okay, and this 2 is representing the quantity of commodity 2. Both the commodities X and quantity of commodity Y, both the commodities, commodity X and commodity Y, are available in both the bundles. Now if you are an individual, which bundle will you prefer, bundle A or bundle B?
Bundle A.
Bundle A.
Why? Very good. Why bundle A?
Because
It has more Y, right?
Because it is more.
yes,
Sir.
Yes, it has got more Y. So this kind of preference in which you choose that bundle which has more of at least one of the items and no less of the other good is called monotonic preference. See, the quantity of X is same in both the bundles, 1 and 1. But the quantity of Y in bundle A is 2, whereas the quantity of Y in bundle B is 1. That is why we have chosen bundle A over bundle B. This kind of preference where we chose the bundle having more of at least one of the goods and no less of the other good, that kind of preference is called monotonic preference. Had there been lesser quantity of commodity X in bundle A, say 0, 2, then monotonic preference would not have been possible, because in this case quantity of commodity X would have been lesser in bundle A, but the quantity of commodity X in bundle B would have been more. And the opposite will be here, that the quantity of commodity Y will be higher in bundle A, but quantity of commodity Y in bundle B would have been less. So in that case, we would not have been possible for us to choose one bundle over another, because in one bundle X is more, in another bundle Y is more. Is it okay with you all? Any problem with understanding of monotonic preference?
No, sir.
Okay, so let's proceed. Then this is an important question what I was talking about. Why are indifference curve downward sloping? Straight away, if the question is asked, then your answer will be monotonicity of preference, or you can just write monotonic preference. Because of the monotonic preference, the indifference curves are downward sloping. Downward sloping may be As you can see, just look at the movement of my mouse cursor. Downward sloping may be a straight line downward curve as well. But why is it convex to the origin? That is a different question altogether. We will discuss it later. But for the time being, why is it downward sloping? It is because of the monotonicity of preference. That means, if you see here, monotonicity of preference implies an increase in the amount of one commodity must be accompanied by a decrease in the amount of another commodity. So suppose here we are moving from this point to this point. This means we are increasing the quantity of good one, because quantity of good one has increased from here to here. But the quantity of commodity 2 or good 2, what has happened to it is, if you see that vertical height, the vertical height has declined. Okay, so for the increment in good 1, you have got more utility, and if you have to remain on the same indifference curve, you must get the same level of utility. Because of the monotonicity of the preference, if you have to remain in the same level of satisfaction, the quantity of other good, in this case good 2, must decline, so that you get the same level of satisfaction. Okay, suppose this is point A and this is point B. Now at point A you have got x1 and at point B you have got x1 plus delta x1. That means there is an increment in the quantity of x. This delta x1 is positive. X1 has increased. But what about quantity of x2? In this case, it has gone down from x2 to x2 plus delta x2. Although plus sign is written here, this, if you look at it carefully, delta x2 is negative here. So that plus minus becomes negative, minus. Okay, to get the same level of satisfaction, because you have got more satisfaction by moving from point A to B, the quantity of good 1 has increased, and as a result you have got more satisfaction. This must be compensated. This must be deleted by a reduction in the quantity of commodity 2. Okay, any problem with this point?
Yes, sir. Can you explain it again?
See, suppose we are moving from point A to point B. If we just have the annotation once again, suppose this, we have moved from point A to point B. As a result, earlier we were suppose consuming 2 units of good 1. Now we are consuming 3 units of good 1, right? Good 1 means commodity 1. We have consumed more. So as a result, because we have more is better, more consumption means more utility automatically. But by definition, indifference curve says that we have to get the same level of satisfaction from all the combinations along the same indifference curve. But here we are getting more satisfaction when we move from point A, that is combination A, to combination B. Because of this positive addition in the utility, we have to have negative utility, so that we get back to our original utility position. This is reflected by this delta x2. Delta x2, suppose when we were at point A, the quantity of good 2 that we were consuming was 5. Now when we have come to point B or combination B, whatever you say it, the quantity of commodity 2 has come down to say 4 units. Okay, so if x1 has increased, if you see x1 has increased from 2 to 3, but or commodity 1 has increased, but the quantity of commodity 2 has declined. This will give us positive utility because we have consumed more x1 or commodity 1, and this reduction in x2 or good 2 will give us negative utility, so that the positive utility gets cancelled out by the negative utility due to a fall in quantity 2 or commodity 2. And finally, we will remain on the same level of satisfaction by consuming either at point A or at point B. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we have the concept called a function. The concept of function is very indigenous to mathematics, and we have been very familiar with it. We did it in our, say, class 6, 7 onwards. We say, what is a functional relationship? A functional relationship between two variables. By the way, two or more variables. Variables are those quantities whose value keeps on changing. Okay, for example, your age is a variable, price is a variable, income is a variable, output is a variable, investment level, GDP of, that is national income of a country. These are all types of variables which keeps on changing with time. So if there are two variables, suppose x and y, such that for every value of x, there is one unique value of y. In that case, we say that there is a functional relationship between x and y, and we denote it as y is a function of x. This f is generally denoted as a function, but instead of f we can also write g, d, whatever we want. All that it means, this symbol, is that for every value of x, this x is, by the way, independent variable, Sadhin Chalok, and this y is the dependent variable. That means the change in the value of y is caused by changes in x and not vice versa. One example that you may think is like, say, amount of rainfall. X is rainfall, and that is rainfall. Okay, if I can just write it, x is rainfall, and say y is agricultural production or output. Let's keep it simple, agricultural output. Okay, in that case you can say that output or y is a function of rainfall. If there is more rainfall, there will be more output up to a certain extent. Okay, and if there is no rainfall, then the output will be very less or maybe even zero. Clear the idea of function?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So a graph, in this case of a function, that is y is a function of x, is a diagrammatic representation of the functional relationship between two variables. It may be two variables or more variables, but for the sake of simplicity, we are just discussing two variables. You can see here that y this is equal to 5 plus x. That means for every value of x, there will be one and single value of y. In this case, if x is 0, then y will be 5 plus 0 is equal to 5. So that's why this graph has started from here. Okay, let me use the annotations. This line has started from here because what will be the coordinates of this point? This point. What is the value of x here? X is 0, right? And what is the value of y here? 5. This is the reason why the graph has started from here at this point, say let's call it point A, and not from 0, not like this or this or this or say any other way. Okay. Now you tell me what will be the value of y if the value of x is 2. Yes, please respond. What will be the value of y if the value of x is 2?
So
7.
what? Yes, sir, 7.
7. Can you show it in the graph? Which point will it be? Just draw it a point on the graph. No, not there, on the line itself. No. This will be somewhere here, right? Because this will be x is equal to 2 and y is equal to this one, this height, not a separate line. And just look at this sign. Very good, you have made an attempt. This sign, if this is plus, this means there is a positive relationship between x and y. That means more the value of x, more will be the value of y. Lesser the value of x, lesser will be the value of y. In such a case, it is said to be that there is a direct or positive relationship between the two variables, or there is a positive, it is called a positive function. Okay, so in this case, now coming to graph B, if you see that this is a negative line, meaning there is an inverse relationship between the variable x and y. Higher the value of x, lower will be the value of y, and vice versa. As a result, the graph shows downward sloping. This kind of movement is called downward sloping, and this kind of movement is called upward sloping. Okay, so let's see it with the help of an example. So if x is 0, what will be the value of y? 50 minus 0. What will be 50 minus 0? That is 50 itself. So this point, if we just write it here, this point has got the coordinates of x is 0, comma, y is 50. Okay, now if you increase the value of x, suppose we have increased the value of x, so 10. Now what will be the value of y? You tell me.
So 40.
40. Very good. So if x is 10, y will be 40. If you see carefully, x value, the value of x has increased from 0 to 10, but the value of y has declined from 50 to 40. This kind of relationship, or functional relationship, is called a negative relationship, and you will see this kind of graph. Okay, so just a preliminary idea about functions. Now let's proceed. Now we will understand demand bole to kya? What is demand in economics? What do you think about demand? Yes, let me know. What's your idea of demand?
So the taste and preferences of a consumer on a particular commodity.
Taste and preferences. Okay, anyone else? Someone said taste and preferences. Then, anyone else? Please reply.
Sir, need.
Need. One more. Yes, one more answer. You may be right, you may be wrong. Don't worry about
Sir,
that.
willing.
Willing. Okay, let's call it will.
So the willingness to buy. So the willingness to buy a particular commodity.
Okay, willingness to buy a commodity. Very good. Then one more.
Desire.
Desire. Swift desire na hoy na? Okay. See, taste and preference, need, willingness to buy a commodity, desire. All these concepts are related to demand. These concepts are very much in the periphery of demand, but these are not demand. Taste and preferences. Okay, let's start with willingness to buy a commodity. Suppose you are willing to buy a Swift Desire. Okay, let's include them together. Swift Desire. Will it be a demand? You are willing to buy a Swift Desire. No, this is not sufficient. This is not sufficient for considering as a demand. For a demand, you need willingness to buy a commodity backed by sufficient purchasing power. That means you must have your income. Okay, otherwise it will remain as a just a desire. Okay, need is just a different thing. Need is something without which we cannot survive. Okay, but need backed by sufficient purchasing power, that means need backed by income, will be together called as demand. So let's proceed. Let's see what we have. Demand refers to the willingness, and not just you are willing to pay, and you have the ability of the consumer. That means you have the money to purchase a given quantity of a commodity or a service. Okay, service is anything that is produced and consumed simultaneously, like the services of a doctor. Okay, the services of a teacher or someone else. His words are of some value to you. That's why you are giving him some money. So at a given point of time or over a period of time. So demand is always at a point of time or in a period of time. Demand for rice will be over a period of time in any country, but demand for car for an individual may be at a point of time. So you must be willing to pay, and at the same time you must have the ability to pay. Sometimes you have lots of money but you are not willing to pay.
Commodity.
Very good. Price of the commodity is one of the factors. There are other factors like your income.
Income.
Then say your religious belief. If your religion do not allow to consume a particular type of meat, then you will not have a demand for it, right? Then say your family income. Then you may have lots of other factors which may affect your demand. Can you name any more? Like your taste and preferences. The price is bearable, you have got the income, but you don't like the commodity. Then also your demand may be zero, right? For example, the demand for BD might be zero for all the HS second year students of Cotton University, but demand for KP may be positive because many people like it. Okay, so demand is a factor which is affected by lots of other variables, but for the sake of simplicity in economics, we assume other things remaining constant. Say your income, your taste and preferences, your religious belief, then your family income, your savings from the past, all are fixed, and demand is dependent only on the price of the commodity. In that case, what kind of relation do you expect between demand and price? Positive relation or negative relation? See, if the price goes up, will you purchase more or will you purchase less? Think in that way.
we will purchase more.
If the price is less. Okay, so very good.
Less, yes.
So that means there is a negative functional relationship or negative relationship in short between demand and price of a commodity, and that is yeah, we have written just the functional form that Q is the demand for a commodity, not D, and P is the price of the commodity. So a demand curve is nothing but, let's come to the new topic. A demand curve is nothing but a graphical representation of the demand function. That means the relation between price and quantity demanded. For every specific price, how much demand is made. Okay. Onions. When the price is 80, many of you may not buy the onion at all. But when price is 20, like you will eat onions. Just draw a demand curve for me. This will be the demand curve. You see, there's a negative, we are taking price here and quantity demanded here, and there's a negative relationship between the two, meaning that for every price there's a quantity of commodity, but as the price increases the demand comes down. Let's see how. If we just have the annotation, suppose if the price is 5, okay, then we are demanding say 3 units of banana. Now if the price has gone up, okay, just a straight line to say 10, if you see this, we have come down. Okay, now we purchase only 1 unit of banana.